taken about 3 years, but finally Wii owners have a first-person shooter that's not a port and doesn't suck. Hey, look at that, it is possible. Obviously, I'm talking about the Conduit from High Voltage Software, a futuristic first-person shooter designed from the ground up for Wii owners who just want to shoot the hell out of stuff. Guys like me, in other words. We've been waiting a long time for this one, but the good news is the wait has been worth it because the Conduit delivers a fun single-player mode and an engaging online multiplayer component. One of the big complaints I've seen of the Conduit is that it's like every other shooter on every other console, and that if it weren't for Wii, nobody would care. And that, I have to say, is partly true. When you strip away all the extra bells and whistles, you're left with a first-person shooter in which you shoot, yes, aliens. And I don't know if you've noticed, but there are a couple of those on the market already. That being true, though, there aren't too many of them for Wii, and High Voltage has done a good job of presenting a unique twist on the same old alien storyline. You are Agent Ford, a badass with a gun who works for the Trust, a secret government organization hell-bent on, well, you're going to have to play because I can't tell yet. Obviously, Nintendo and Rare don't hang out at lunch anymore, but the good news is High Voltage has delivered in Rare's absence a title that feels very much like a Wii version of Perfect Dark. And, of course, I'd be remiss if I didn't talk about the tech powering the Conduit. This is an impressive 3D engine that allows for advanced lighting, particle, and texturing effects. You're going to find bump maps on just about everything in the game. You've got HDR lighting, you've got shimmering water with transparency, reflections, and dynamic morphing. It just goes on and on and on. The graphics have been one of the Conduit's big selling points, and now that I've played through the final game, I can tell you, yes, it does deliver, and I think you will be impressed. I've only got a couple presentational issues with the game, the first being that you do see the same enemies repeating over and over and over throughout the experience, and that gets a bit old. Second, the frame rate does take some hits here and there. It will chug now and again, and actually the funny part is that also reminds me of Perfect Dark. In the Conduit, you shoot a lot of aliens and a lot of guards, and you progress through levels in a linear fashion. So what makes this game so special? Or maybe the better question is, what can you do in the Conduit that you can't do in any other first-person shooter on another console? On a very high level, maybe not a whole lot, actually. But when you start to break it down, there are definitely some Wii advantages. It all starts with control, and in the Conduit, you have more customizational options in that regard than you do in any other first-person shooter on any other console, at least that I've encountered. You can modify everything, so you can change your horizontal and your vertical look speed, you can change your run speed, you can modify your bounding box, and you can do all these things in real time as you play the game and see the results on the fly, which I love. If you've ever suffered through a badly controlled first-person shooter, Red Steel, you know exactly how important good controls are in these games, and the Conduit will have you covered because you can customize it to exactly how you want it. After just a bit of tinkering, you're going to find that perfect control scheme, and as a result, the game is going to feel very intuitive, everything's going to control very, very well. Once you're well into the experience, though, you're going to find a title that is very straightforward. It's a lot of running and gunning and not much else. And that is a bit of a disappointment for people who really want something new and refreshing out of their first-person shooters. Thankfully, though, the core gameplay is still fun, intense, and satisfying, and Agent Ford carries around with him a little gadget called the All-Seeing Eye, and that allows him to scan items and find unlockables, adding just a bit of replay value. With just over 9 missions to explore, the Conduit delivers between 5.5 and 8 good hours of gameplay, and that number is enhanced by an achievement system and secrets hidden throughout the adventure that unlock extra content, like character art. And when you're all done with the single-player mode, you can jump online and team up or compete against up to 11 other people. There's a wealth of maps, a variety of weapons, and of course a plethora of different gameplay modes to compete in as you go online. I think you're going to spend a lot of time connected in the months to come. As I tested the online mode for this review, it yielded mixed results. Sometimes I would have a very laggy situation where I couldn't even follow the characters on screen, and other times everything ran smoothly and I had a fantastic experience. So how it all pans out in the end, I guess it's going to depend on your connection and just how many people are playing.
Hold on tight.
The Conduit is by no means a revolutionary FPS, but it's a damn good one, especially if you've only got a Wii. Great controls and great tech surround an experience that's a lot of fun, even if it doesn't feel entirely new. And while the single-player mode may end a little abruptly for my taste, the online one will keep you busy for a long time to come. Don't forget, for my full written review, check out IGN.com.